So it is that time where we start our talk, because not only are we live here at United Astronomy Clubs of New Jersey in Hope, New Jersey, but we are also live online on our YouTube. So if you ever can't make it to our live presentation, you can always go onto our YouTube. We do stream this live, and there are the recordings of the video that you can see after. So in case you ever want to go back and reference something or rewatch any of our old videos, that's a great way to do it. Couple housekeeping things. For those who are here, our bathroom is to my right, your left. We also have a small little gift shop. All the proceeds go to keeping our lights on and keep us offering free public programs and outreach. Hopefully we should be starting outreach soon. If you do want to come out to our site, we still have the reservation system in effect. We are following New Jersey mandates where if you are vaccinated, you can feel free to, as long as you're outdoors, you can go without a mask. We do ask that you respect each other's preferences for mask or no mask and social distancing, just because, there are people who may be protecting loved ones or they themselves have immunocompromisations. I know there's a better word for that, and I said it wrong.
Close enough.
Right. So you can also check us out on our website, UnitedAstronomyClubsofNewJersey.org, and through our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So with that, our presentation tonight is What's Up in the June Sky with Lonny Buinis. Lonny Buinis has been obsessed with all things outer space since childhood, when he looked through his first telescope and saw a pterodactyl pass over the moon. In the age of mammals, he helped start the United Astronomy Club of New Jersey. In 2016, during the Ice Age, UACNJ dedicated the Lonny Buinis Observatory. Lonny holds degrees from Stevens Institute of Technology in Physics and Computer Science and is a member of the International Association of Astronomical Artists, which is a mouthful every time I say it.
I'll shorten that.
Well, no, it's just a lot of A's. Alliteration. Mm-hmm. And created the first interactive space history book. He is as skeptical of experts as you, so after the talk, ask questions. If you're watching this through our YouTube, please ask questions during the talk. I am actually monitoring chat, and I will ask them at the end during our Q&A session. For our live audience, I do ask that you hold the questions till the end, and you wait till I bring you the mic. So our online audience can also hear your questions, because they're often great and we get some back and forth. So now, let's explore star colors, a giant ball of stars next to a legendary hero, a gaggle of galaxies, an eclipse of the sun, and a supermoon as we find out what's up in the June sky.
Thank you, Kim. It's a real pleasure to be here amongst a small but enthusiastic audience. I see some young people. Anybody never been to UACNJ before? Okay, well, welcome. I'm glad you made it. And if you want to come back, there are different talks by different people aside from me every Saturday. And we're going to be doing this throughout the whole year. We used to do it only when it wasn't cold, which is April through October. But in the cold months, we'll be doing this online, in Zoom or whatever. So let's find out what's up in the sky. Just a word of warning, I'm not a professional astronomer. I do this for love, not money, as we all do here at this volunteer organization. So I am an amateur. I'm going to be using a lot of technical terms tonight. So I see that some of you may be ready to take notes, and some of you are old-fashioned like me, maybe using pencil and paper. Does anybody know what pencil and paper is? No.
No, not
okay.
at all, Lonny.
All right, well then you can use your phablets and phlablets and tablets, and nobody's doing that either. So I'm going to try to keep you awake. Let's find out what's up in the sky. It's going to be hard to see anything on the screen because it is so bright. We're going to be making that screen brighter in the future. So I'm going to ask you to use your imaginations. Some things will be easier to see. I'm going to bring up a list of warnings at the end of what not to do. Principle number one is if we were looking at a clear sky with the amateur astronomers' telescopes, we ask you not to kick the tripod because they've spent hours setting up and you would make an astronomer cry. So that's the number one rule. The other one is don't forget our porta potty right there. I'm going to start with a nice website for you to try out at home, seesky.org, O-R-G for organization, sea and sky. What's up in the sky, what's happening in the sea. I concentrate on the sky part, so I click on what's the link for the sky, and then I find the calendar, which lists the entire year for any year in the past, present, or future. All right, so I pick the current year, which is, audience participation is encouraged. What year is it? 2021, thank you. And I would see a list of, like this, of events. So we've got two kinds of moon, a new moon and a full supermoon. You ever hear that expression, supermoon? Anybody? Yes? You don't have to be shy. You can raise your hand. We don't bite. Thank you. Supermoon means when the moon is full, it's also closer to Earth than average, because the moon does not go around the Earth in a circle. It's a squashed circle, not as exaggerated as an egg. You would not notice it to the eye if you drew the orbit of the moon, but it's enough to make the moon smaller or bigger. So during the full moon, I'll be talking about this June 24th, just a few minutes, it's a little bit bigger. All right, in the news, you might read, the moon will be much bigger than usual. No, don't get excited. It's hardly noticeable to the human eye. So one at a time, new moon, June 10th, 2 days ago. What's so special about new moon? Why is that a good thing? Well, if the moon orbited in a line with the Earth's equator, we would have an eclipse every new moon. New is when the moon is close to the sun, so its brightness doesn't interfere with looking at stars at night. It's a great time to observe the stars, like around now, because we just had an eclipse. So why don't we have an eclipse every month? Wouldn't the moon go in? That's pretty close. Actually, the moon's orbit is tipped by only about 5 degrees to the Earth's equator, which means it misses the sun most of the times. But the whole orbit moves around like this, the whole tilt of the orbit, which means every once in a while, the orbit lines up and crosses the sun. And that's what we just had, just had 2 days ago, June 10th. Did anybody see the eclipse? Nobody. Oh, one person over there. That's an amateur astronomer. You don't count, sir. Get out. All right, so the rest of us missed it. I did too. I'm ashamed to admit. Everybody thinks, oh, you're the astronomer. Did you see the eclipse? No, I slept through it. But we can fake it. We can recreate it. And we'll do that. Something else to see, the full moon, supermoon. I mentioned why it's super. That's when the moon is on the opposite part of its orbit. So it would rise where? If the sun is setting and the moon is fully lit up, the light source is the sun, right? It's going to be striking it directly on, which means it rises in the east when the sun sets. That means the moon's visible all night long. Comes back when the sun rises in the east. Then the moon disappears. So here's what it looked like, right? An annular eclipse. The moon was too small. It was at the away point in its orbit, the apogee. The close point is the perigee. The way I remember it is A is for away, and P is for pretty close. I'm using scientific terms. You're all welcome to use those. All right, I see you writing them down. Right. All right. So an annular eclipse. It happened early in the morning. And although I have a picture of that, it's going to be hard to see. They've graphed where the eclipse was full, that is, where we could see a complete ring, and also where it covered only part of the sun. Part of the sun. That's right down here where the east coast of the United States is, where we are in New Jersey. So we in New Jersey saw only a partial eclipse. You would have to be in the northern central part of the United States or in Canada to see the whole thing. And there's the track of totality going pretty close to New Jersey, not exactly. I found this really neat animation. If you go online to NASA's Eclipse site, you can search on Fred Espenek, who made it years ago, or just NASA eclipses. They have this really cool simulation, and right there, that's the partial part, and that little dot is the full part. That's the track that the moon's shadow makes as it crosses the Earth. Because when the moon is between the Earth and sun, it makes a shadow. And then finally, we have another event, important event, the solstice. What is Sol? S-O-L. Ever hear that? Sol? Thank you, sir. That is correct. That's the Latin name for sun, Sol. Solar, right? That means having to do with the sun. Sol. Solstice, where the sun stands still. The highest point in its path up in the sky, high above the equator, 23.44 degrees, about 23 and a half. Also, it's right around the time of my wife's birthday, so I've got to remember that. Very important. So I'm going to use a free program called Stellarium to recreate not only the eclipse, but the whole sky at night. Again, it's going to be hard to see the screen, so if you want to ask questions later when it's darker, that's great. I'll be sticking around tonight. I don't have anywhere to go. Because I'm embarrassed to admit that I missed the eclipse, I'm banished from the house. So let's use Stellarium to recreate the sky. And here's what the sky looks like right now. Can you see stars? No. The nearest star to the Earth is interfering, and that star is the sun. Right, trick question. You guys are very good, so you're paying attention. Nobody's writing down anything, but you are paying attention. I'm encouraged. It's good to see. It's all up here, right? There'll be a test later. So I hope you're taking notes.
We absorb information like a sponge.
Now, what we could do something that we use a scientific term for in astronomy. It's called cheating. I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to change the time that we're looking at the sky, like so. I can pick any time. What's 2014? Is that military time? 20 minus 12 is 8 o'clock at night, 8:14. Not very dark, but if I jump forward a couple hours, 22 minus 12 is 10. So after 10 o'clock at night, I still see nothing because it's just too bright to see the screen. So I'm going to just talk about it. I'm going to say that if you look either in the real sky or in Stellarium at the north, you can find your way to find directions in the sky. At Jenny Jump here in this state park, north is over the roof. It's that way. So that means the opposite direction is what? Can't hear anybody. Thank you. Are you very timid? Is that natural? Does it happen in June a lot? Okay. Pardon me. South is that way. The best place to see a lot of interesting things is in the south, because the Earth and the sun and the planets and the moon all pretty much go around, well, I should say everything goes around the sun in our solar system pretty flat, like a dinner plate. And so if you project that path out into the sky, the path of the Earth's orbit around the sun, it would make a line going through the south like this. And that's where the signs of the zodiac are. Ever hear of those? That's where you find the sun, moon, and planets. because the solar system is pretty much flat, except for Mercury, except for the first dwarf planet, used to be number 9, no more, got demoted. What comes after Neptune? Pluto. Brilliant. See, these guys are not afraid. You should be like them. Be unafraid. Just say the answer. If it's wrong, I'll laugh at you. I'll make fun. No, I won't do that. I won't make fun of you because I make plenty of mistakes myself. So what we do to learn the sky, it's great to start in the north, look for the Big Dipper, which is a constellation. Don't believe everything that amateur astronomers tell you. Have you heard that the Big Dipper is one of the constellations? Anyone? It's not. It's part of a constellation, Ursa Major. Ursa, bear, Major, big. Thank you. Don't be timid. This man here, congratulate this man. He's not afraid. Yeah, Ursa Major is bear big. That's the constellation. The Big Dipper is only a part. It's officially an asterism. Aster means star. There are flowers, asters, that look like a star. Asterism, a star picture. The Big Dipper is 8 stars. 8. You'll see 7. But if you look carefully in the bend in the handle, that's the 8th star. As things get darker, we may be able to see the screen, but that may be toward the end of when I finish speaking. So we're going to urge you to come on back for our next talks, and we'll show you a clearer sky. I promise it's going to be a clear sky one of the Saturdays we're here. So you want to find the Little Dipper, Ursa Minor, bear, small. Very timid people over here. They're not speaking up, but that's okay. I see there are bugs bothering some of us. It was much worse. Last time I was here, I was in the audience with my wife watching someone else talk. I got bitten about 7 times. So let me know if the mosquitoes are bothering you. There's nothing I can do about it. What? Oh no. Oh, wait a minute. I do have bug spray.
You brought the personal sized. Where's the family sized?
Yeah,
that industrial
the part
mega
that
can.
It's very tiring though. You have to use your finger muscles. It's good exercise. So you found 2 constellations immediately by looking in the north. Big Dipper's pointer stars at the end of the bowl point to the North Star. Big Dipper is pretty high this time of year, so it'll be pointing down. Down below, you'll find the king and queen of legend, the Queen Cassiopeia. Ever hear of her? Clash of the Titans. Who saw the movie? There are 2 versions. Us old folks saw the old one from the 60s. There's a newer version. Go see it or get the book out of the library. You have no excuse. The story of Perseus and Andromeda has been in the library for 3,000 years. No excuses. All right, and so you'll find the queen who boasted that her daughter Cassiopeia, also in the sky, rising in the east this time of year, was more beautiful than any of the ancient Greek goddesses. Now, if you know your Greek mythology, that's a big mistake. You don't boast about how you're better than one of the goddesses. They were extremely jealous. So Hera, the queen of the gods, punished Andromeda by having her chained to the rocks to be eaten by a serpent, Cetus, also in the sky, to be rescued by the prince Perseus, also in the sky, riding the flying horse, Pegasus, also in the sky, rising in the late spring, early summer sky in that direction. All right, so now we've got Big Dipper, Little Dipper. Cassiopeia is a letter W low in the sky. Cepheus looks like a house to me. A lot of things don't really look like what they're supposed to be. I think there are about 3 constellations that might look like what they're supposed to be. Anybody ever hear of Scorpius? Scorpius? What's Scorpius? Scorpion. Anybody ever been stung by a scorpion? Don't. Scorpius is visible best in July, right down there below the trees this time of year. We're going to be able to see it from UACNJ observatories. So come on back for next month. What's up in the what sky?
July.
Yes. All right, I see the timidity is vanishing. You guys are becoming bolder. Very good. So now we've learned several constellations that we'll see in north, always. King, Queen, Big Dipper, Little Dipper, Big Bear, Little Bear, and also a dragon, Draco. They never rise or set. They just spin around the North Star because the Earth is spinning this way, which means the sky goes that way, east to west. So if you want to learn the sky, best to start in the north, familiarize yourself with the pointing stars of the Big Dipper, and then turn around, face south, and start in the west, where you'll find a planet by the twins, a zodiac sign. Right down that way is west. The red planet is Mars. Mars is still visible next to the twins, Gemini. I wish I could show you all this, but it's very difficult given our lighting situation.
We can probably bring up Stellarium at the end during the question and answer.
Yeah,
test.
that's a very good idea, Kim. We could do that at the end. And then I would normally take you on a tour of what's up to see in the southern part of the sky. So I'm going to ask you to use your imaginations. If you see the Big Dipper's arc handle, it looks like an arc, and face south, to see the Big Dipper in the north, what must you do? This. Right? So try that. Strengthens your neck. If you're an amateur astronomer, you develop a very strong neck. We also have equipment that can relieve that problem because we actually project images from the telescope on the side of the building. So that's kind of fun. If it's dark enough to do that later, we would have done that. I can't predict that we're going to see much tonight. So if you do that and look at the Big Dipper's arc, you'll see it arc to a bright star, fourth brightest star in the sky with an orange color, Arcturus. Arcturus. It's spelled Arc, A-R-C, T-U-R-U-S. Fourth brightest star. The brightest star is, I mentioned this before, Sol, the sun. How about the North Star in the end of the Little Dipper? Is that one of the brightest stars? Second brightest star? Third? Vega is pretty bright in the summer sky. Arcturus, fifth, sixth, seventh. Polaris, North Star, is a star of not very much, as we say in science, not very much brightness. It's famous. Why is it famous?
Navigation.
That's how you find north. North Star shows you where the Earth's axis is pointing. Anything that spins has an axis. Right? I'm spinning. An imaginary axis goes from my feet to my head, and my head points straight up towards Hercules in the spring sky. Hercules, which spells the letter H. The Earth is spinning and points towards Polaris. Not exactly at it, but pretty close. How about in the southern hemisphere? Our friends in South America, Australia, do they have a South Star? Anybody ever visit South America, Africa, Australia? I haven't. Do they have a South Star? Out of luck.
No.
We can lord it over the people who live in the southern hemisphere. We have a North Star. You don't have a South Star. They have a cross that points a few degrees to where the Earth's south pole points, but they don't have a South Pole star. Now, in a short time, talking in astronomical terms, we're going to have a brighter star. One of the brightest stars is Vega. It was named for an old car. You ever hear of the Vega? The Vega? Right. Don't believe it. I warned you. Don't believe everything I say. All right, it was not named for a car. It was named a long time ago. Vega or Vega is going to be our pole star very soon. In astronomy, soon is 1,000,000 years, 100,000. So in about 10,000 years, as the Earth wobbles, the pole is going to point somewhere else. Can you feel the wobble? Feel it? If you go to Switzerland, you'll see a clock that has this wobble. It's called precession. It takes 24,772 years to go around once. So it's, as we say in science, slow. Right, but it does change where things point. It also changes where the Earth's path around the sun, as we see it in the sky, goes through. It now goes through not 12 signs, but 13 constellations. Astrology is now wrong, traditional astrology. I was told recently that modern astrologers try to take into account that there's a 13th sign of the zodiac, the serpent bearer, Ophiuchus. He carries the head of the serpent, serpens caput, and on one side, and on his other hand, he's holding serpens cauda, the tail. Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer. The planets move through Ophiuchus, a little part of it. So old astrology is off by a whole sign. Also, to make matters worse, because of this shift, my sign, the sea goat, I'm embarrassed to admit, born in December, I have the goat. My wife says the old goat, Capricornus. The sun is not there when I was born. Was not there. It was one sign over in the Scorpion. Yes, Scorpion. I'm a Scorpion. My wife still thinks I'm an old goat, but I see myself as a Scorpion. So astrology is off by an entire sign. Have they corrected for that? I don't know. Ask an astrologer. I'm not an astrologer. I'm an astronomer. So what else is there to see in the southern sky? If you look straight up and find the letter H for the famous hero, you know, this guy is very bold. He's the only one who's answering anything, and you too, sir, thank you. You know, the rest of you don't have to be shy. Maybe you can ask this guy for help later, because he seems to know a lot. Thank you, sir, for participating. So again, audience participation at Jenny Jump, never punished. So Hercules, the hero of legend, is upside down in the sky in pictures on a star map, like the kind that we sell here at our gift shop, called the planisphere. It's very cheap. It's very adjustable. Kim is holding an example. These are really the best teaching tool for learning the sky. It's on a rivet. It changes for all times of year. You can even look in the morning sky if you get up early enough. And there it is. It's called the planisphere. It's a star map. So you would look in the middle of the star map for Hercules. Thank you, Kim. Please visit Kim in our gift shop later. We do work off entirely from donations from the public. We are a public facility, and we really and truly appreciate your participation. Just even coming here, it warms our hearts. So if you look in Hercules on the right side of a keystone-shaped group of stars called the keystone. I bet you knew that, right? Keystone, like a keystone in an arch. Long ago, people built arches in ancient Rome. It has a stone in the middle shaped like this. It's not a perfect rectangle. It's off. Trapezium, yes, a trapezium.
For a minute there, I thought we were referencing Pennsylvania. I'm like,
yeah, the Keystone State, Pennsylvania. Right. Hercules is shaped like that. And on the right side, you can ask an astronomer here someday to show you a little fuzzy blob a third of the way down from the top star. Fuzzy blob. In binoculars, it's a little fuzzy cloud. In a small telescope, you can see stars in the middle. In big telescopes, many stars, hundreds. There are 500,000 stars in this big globe that is a cluster of stars. So astronomers call these things globular clusters. Globular, you're getting the, are you? Oh, I like that, man. Picking up what I'm putting down, man. I do remember jive talk. No, it was beatnik talk of the 60s and 50s. Yeah, man. All right, I like that. Or in Star Trek was, I reach you, man. Or you reach me. So that little fuzzy blob is a gigantic globular cluster, M13, number 13 in Messier's list. Poor Charles Messier French astronomer, 19th century. He was looking for comets. A lot of stuff got in the way. Globular clusters, nebulas, gas clouds, open clusters of stars. They all look fuzzy in a small telescope. Big nuisance if you're trying to find a comet. So he made a list of things to throw out. And why do we remember Charles Messier to this very day, over 150 years later? 104 objects. Amateur astronomers work all night long to see if they can see every one in one night. It can be done. Why do we remember Messier? Because it's like my mother said, never throw anything away. We remember him for all the stuff he threw out on the Messier list, 104 objects. It's a challenge. You can come here and see some of the Messier objects. Famous one in the spring sky, straight up. It'll be right there about 9 o'clock tonight. See it? No, but take my word for it. I'm not making this up. It is there, you just can't see it. M13, globular cluster. Well, you know what I might do is end early because we really can't see much here. You know what? Let me see if I can zoom in on Hercules. And trace out, oh, yeah, I could trace the stars, even though it's difficult. Can you see my red dot? Good. Now, if I could only see, oh, see that moving dot right there? You know what that is? If something moves that quickly, it's too slow for an airplane, but it's bright and it moves through the sky once around the Earth every 90 minutes. What's that? Yeah, artificial satellite. Right, we can see those. We often have dark enough skies here at Jenny Jump to see artificial satellites and the entire Milky Way in the summer, from horizon to horizon. When the racetrack stops, you can hear them. When they stop at night and turn off their lights, this is one of the darkest sites in New Jersey, one of the darkest observatory sites. So you would find a square shape or an irregular shape. It's actually much bigger than the real sky. It looks like this. And I could zoom in right here to a fuzzy blob. Let me do that to show you what M13 looks like close up. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. See a fuzzy cloud? Zoom in, fuzzy. Bigger, bigger. 500,000 stars. If you lived on a planet that orbited one of these old stars, reddish in color, many of them, your night sky would be just like a New Jersey night sky where I live, in a town, full of street lights. It would be like looking at a sky full of street lights. We're lucky that we don't live in a globular cluster. M13 is one of the most famous, most easily visible from New Jersey. But I have to zoom way out to see the whole constellation, Hercules. Other things to see coming up in the eastern sky will be 3 bright stars of summer that form a big triangle. Triangle seen in the summer. Take a wild guess what they call it? Summer triangle. Very good. Do you see how this works? Right, so it's not rocket science. Summer triangle comes up. There's a beautiful swan shaped like a cross with its bright star Deneb. The bright star Vega is going to be close to Hercules. That'll be our pole star in only 10,000 years, in Lyra the lyre, or harp. And then coming very low in the sky, you won't see it till later in the summer, is Aquila the eagle with its bright star Altair. 3 bright stars in the summer triangle will be coming up. And I'm going to be talking about those in What's Up in the July Sky. Well, that's Stellarium. Oh, anybody see what's wrong with this picture? Stellarium, look at the version number. All right, you computer nerds out there. I'm a computer nerd, so I can say the word nerd. Yeah, anybody ever see software with a version 0 before? Yeah. Stellarium's been in version 0 for the past few years, since I first started using it years ago. I started with 0.14. It's unheard of, but it is free. It's open source. You can, programmers in the audience, future programmers, I see some young ones, you can even contribute to it. Go to stellarium.org to download stellarium-web.org. You don't have to download, you could just use it online. And there's even an app. Celestia is another great program that's free, lets you fly away from the Earth to other planets to see what they look like from their moons. You can see an eclipse of the sun by the Earth from the moon if you were an astronaut on the moon. The Earth would blot the sun, and you would see an orange ring around the Earth from its atmosphere. You can recreate that. You know what I didn't do, what I forgot to do, was show you the eclipse in Stellarium. Let's try that, because I missed it, and some of you did too. I guess I won't need a nightlight. So if I set the date to June 10th, early in the morning, I can even watch the sky go backward in time. Let's look to the east, where the sun rises. Going back 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Look, the sun's going backwards in time. Just close to sunrise. Let's zoom in. What's that black thing near the sun? The moon, right, that's the new moon. The moon is still up in the sky when it's new. You just can't see it because it's not lit up. It's not even a crescent. It's so close to the sun. If I go backwards in time, 6:35, 4, 3, 2, the sun goes lower and lower in the sky. The moon is closer and closer. And that's what people in New Jersey who got up early, I didn't, I was sleeping. That's what they saw, a partial eclipse of the sun. Partial eclipse. Now, if we speed up time, we can even watch what happens. I can track the sun and follow it. Well, let's speed up time so it goes faster. We can watch what happens. The moon moves in its orbit around the Earth. It's moving away from the sun. So the eclipse didn't last very long. Whoops. And now I'm losing the whole thing. There's time moving. The sun goes higher and higher in the sky as time goes forward. So you can play with things in these programs, Stellarium and Celestia. I'm going to do a quick review, since it's still really too bright to see much, and remind you that if you look in the western sky, when things are getting dark, for the bright stars, Castor and Pollux in the twins, Gemini, amongst the trees, you'll see a reddish star that does not twinkle like the other stars, because planets don't twinkle. The red planet is Mars. Look for Mars. It's still visible. Jupiter and Saturn will be becoming visible shortly in the opposite part of the sky. And actually in the evening sky, Venus will be coming back very soon, the brightest of the planets. Mars has been in the news. Anybody hear about the landing by the Perseverance rover and the Ingenuity helicopter? That's a picture of its fifth flight. And here's a picture taken from the helicopter. This is good for the future of exploring planets, because we can send these, they're essentially drones. We can send them out ahead of the rovers to tell what to look for. On Mars, there's a very thin atmosphere. It took a lot of experimenting to get that helicopter to work, because the blades have to turn very fast in that thin atmosphere. In Earth's atmosphere, you can do this and try it. You can feel the air, it's so thick. Not so on Mars. On Venus, the air is even thicker than Earth's. In fact, the pressure is so great at the surface, 90 times what we have on the Earth, you would be crushed by it. So if you went to Venus, 900 degrees, sulfuric acid atmosphere, not only would you be crushed, you'd be crushed, burned, and dissolved. Anybody want to go to Venus? Is Venus as bad as New Jersey in the summer? Jury's out.
For those of us who are younger and have a sense of existential dread, it's perfect.
There you go. So a quick review, as things are getting darker, I can actually see the screen. Quick review of the northern sky. If you look high, you'll see a dipper shape. Ursa Major, Big Bear, points to Polaris in the Little Bear. In New Jersey, these two stars in the end of the Little Dipper are easiest to see along with the North Star. The other 7 stars, not so much. And then lower in the sky, the letter W for the Queen, Cassiopeia, who boasted about her daughter Andromeda. Her husband, the king, looks to me like 4 stars in the body and 3 in the roof of a house. And a long constellation between the dippers is the Dragon, hard to see. In the south, we're going to be looking in the future for the Scorpion coming up. It's very low right now. Arc to Arcturus, bright orange star in what, well, that's supposed to be a herdsman. To me, it looks like a rocket ship. When I used to teach in the planetarium, the 7-year-olds told me that was the orange exhaust of the rocket. Now watch what happens going from June to July. 1 month difference, looking south at the same time each night, 9:30 at night when it's dark. The Scorpion is just rising, bright star there. The star Spica below Arcturus is to the right. Oh, I'm sorry. Now I'm looking at June, looking south in June, straight south. Arcturus is in the south. The moon is in the lion Leo. You'll find the lion, main sign of spring, looking like a backwards question mark and a triangle. 1 month later, where is it? Let's do it again. June 15th, July 15th. Leo is leaving the sky in the west, setting in the west. Arcturus is 30 degrees over, 1/12 of the sky, 30 degrees. 360 divided by 12, mathematicians, 30 degrees. The sky changes month to month, which is why we do a talk called What's Up in the Sky every month. So come on back the first Saturday of next month for What's Up in the July Sky. That's because the Earth, as it moves around the sun, you're looking in a different part of the orbit of the Earth. Right? So that's why it's important to keep coming back, learn the sky as it changes. That's how I did it when I was young. I got the centerfold out of Astronomy Magazine, Sky and Telescope Magazine. Both are online now. You can subscribe digitally, right? And see a star chart, just like the one that Kim showed you, a planisphere. That's how I learned. So, quick reference before we stop. The United Astronomy Clubs of New Jersey spells UACNJ. Repeat after me, UACNJ. There's still a lot of shy people in the audience. Yeah, that's how I remember it. UACNJ.org has all kinds of information about what's happening in the sky. It's an umbrella organization for many astronomy clubs and organizations in New Jersey, also in our neighbors, Pennsylvania and New York. Magazine, Sky and Telescope and Astronomy, I mentioned before. Stellarium and Celestia are free to download or use online. I found dozens of apps. There's these, I believe these are about 21 free for Android, because I have an Android device. All ways of looking at the sky. You can hold up your device and it will show you the part of the sky you're looking at, depending on GPS. And it will identify what you're looking at. So you don't even need an amateur astronomer like me to tell you. It's just more fun to come here and look through the telescopes or see the projections, ask the astronomers a lot of questions. I promise you, there's no such thing as a dumb question. Ask us a lot of questions. If we don't know the answer, we'll make it up. And finally, you can find my website at astronomyinmotion.com. I make stuff move. I'm an astronomy artist, astronomical artist and animator, and I also make virtual reality planets that you can see in my book, Space History Mysteries Solved, the first book, interactive virtual reality book. And then finally, I want to say thanks for coming. I'm at LonnyBuinis@gmail.com. You've been a very good audience. Thank you for coming.
All right. Thank you, Lonny. Oh, that's a cute picture. It's a new ending slide. I've never seen that slide before. Occasionally I get sidetracked. But anyhow, that was the conclusion of our talk. I do apologize for you guys. With COVID, we are working outside. We are continually upgrading. Lonny had actually brought a brighter projector that unfortunately did not work with our setup, but we are working on continually improving. Hopefully we will be able to get something sorted out where it's slightly brighter than it is currently, but we'll get there. You can actually go back online to our YouTube if you wanted to see any of the presentations or the slides. The slides are directly basically uploaded to our YouTube instead of just through the camera you see in front of Lonny. So we are going to have a question and answer session. I think I have one question somewhere here in the online chat. Unfortunately, it scrolled on me. So first, were there any questions here with our live audience? Anyone?
Ooh. Experts. Everybody knows everything. This guy especially. Thank you, sir. And you too. No, we appreciate our audiences.
Right. So someone had asked, is a partial eclipse of the sun better than a total eclipse of the heart?
Yes, the answer is yes.
You know the age of the person that asked that.
I won't give up ages. Besides, in some chats, that's against terms of service.
You know, if we don't know the answer, we can look it up for you and get back to you.
Yeah, and that also goes to our online viewers, or if you go back into our archive and view any past presentations, if you happen to have a question that wasn't answered during the presentation, leave a comment. I do actually periodically check them, and I do receive notifications, so we will actually try and get back to you with an actual answer. So like I said at the beginning of the talk, if for anyone here, our public toilet is there, gift shop is here, I will be manning the gift shop. We are a completely nonprofit, like Lonny said, and we are an umbrella organization of many clubs, many of which are in New Jersey, a couple are in New York State and PA. I'm probably pointing the exact opposite direction from where they actually reside, but you know. But one of the best ways to get involved with astronomy is to actually get in touch with your local club, because not only do they have knowledgeable people there, but they'll also be able to give you various tips and hints for viewing in your local area. For example, viewing out the sky out here is going to be a lot different than viewing in New York City. And surprisingly, there are a number of astronomers out in New York City who do photography and whatnot of various objects. I think the moon being one of the brightest, and the planets probably. Mm-hmm. But I can't think of what else, but I know they do many things, and there are numerous outreach programs available. You can look on our website, UACNJ.org, to find out any of them, or if you email us through the little contact form that I believe is on there, we can also answer the questions. So with that, I think we have...
Chris is set up with the thing. Last I saw, he was on actual live image of the thin crescent moon that we have up tonight. East is this direction for anyone looking for Venus and Mars. West is this direction for anyone who is looking for Venus and Mars. East is this direction. North is over that big tree there, just to orient yourselves for when you can see things. So we do have a live shot right now, but unfortunately I think that's going to be fleeting tonight, so take a look. I also have some pictures of they're not very good technically, but pretty anyway, of the eclipse. If you did happen to miss it and you do want to see it, you can come see me and I'll show you my very amateurish pictures of the eclipse.
So I'm actually glad. I wasn't sure whether I was seeing high-level clouds or just I need to get new distance glasses and actually wear them, and that it is not completely, as NASA or SpaceX would say, not nominal viewing.
Oh.
But with that, I'm going to let you guys go. If you are here when it's still dark, please use your headlights when you leave. It hurts getting run over. We like avoiding that. And if you're using any light, we prefer dim light just to not blind people. But if you're using like a flashlight or whatnot, aim it towards the ground. Headlights, they're aimed where they're aimed. And we like seeing where pedestrians are. And it is not 10 points for the small children and 30 for grandma. Okay, that wasn't funny. All right, with that, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.